2015 was the summer of migration. Part of it was, of course, due to Croatia's geographical position. We are on the route. And part of it was, of course, also due to our entrance in the European Union, because by that we became the longest and the external border of the EU towards the non-EU. So also at that time, there was a general EU consensus, surely led by Germany, that people will be let through the borders. That is when we had this big migration movement.
When looking at borders and how they changed throughout this decade, you see how the policies heavily influenced what the border means and how it evolves. First of all, it started then in 2015-16 with concrete border fences, barbed wire fences from Slovenia towards Croatia and also on the side with Hungary. Although these borders should have been removed, especially after Croatia's entry to Schengen, these borders still are heavily present there. I have a feeling that it evolved immensely. A technological approach that goes into it. So we have this whole, biometric systems, the heavy use of AI, the whole border areas that are surveyed by drones, where we see a lot of new technologies being used, thermovision cameras. We also see how heavily influenced it all is by not only national policies, but basically EU policies who somehow drive all of this. When it comes to some influence on the concrete societies, first of all, as I mentioned, there was a lot of solidarity practiced among local communities, and then with time we saw a lot of police intimidation towards these people. And here you can really see how it affects local communities, ethnically mixed communities that have been in a way abandoned since the war onwards. So it's basically, I would say, the most interesting decade, or maybe the worst also decade when it comes to the whole deterioration of asylum system and of perspectives on migration in general in Europe.
Now at this moment we are kind of grappling with a big labor migration movement, and now we are seeing different narratives. So people still don't really understand the legal differences, and of course the legal categories impact people in the sense of course, the scope of their rights and the way they are framed in the media and public discourse. Different categories of migrants have their own specific, issues in accessing their rights, of accessing, education, healthcare services, language assistance, translators that don't exist mostly, etc., etc. So this is one part of it. Of course, the second part that's a growing issue is and this is particularly relevant with labor migration, is how their labor is connected to their status. So people who lose their jobs almost automatically lose their status as well. So that's one part of it. And the second biggest issue, I would say, is this growing fascism that really translates into physical violence on the streets. We are seeing a huge rise in racist attacks towards primarily labor migrants, people who are, working in delivery, taxi drivers, those particularly who are invisible, work, but also violence towards anybody who is visibly labeled different in any way. Muslim women, there has been also, these are maybe the main issues, and we are trying to combat these issues by, different methods, by providing direct assistance, legal assistance, where we can, helping people access the services and rights that they cannot access due to their status or due to due to racism. And of course, we are trying to advocate on the state level, on the city level, especially in the context of the growing racism.